आपकी टीम से कोई मुझे हेल्प कर सकता है इसको मेरा पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन शेयर करने में?
हेलो मैम।
जी जी,
मैम
कैन यू प्लीज हेल्प मी? हाँ।
मैम आपने उसको कहाँ पे रखा हुआ है मैम?
मेरे डेस्कटॉप पर भी है और मेरी जी ड्राइव में भी रखा हुआ है मैंने, ताकि बाई चांस अगर इंटरप्शन हो तो मैं मोबाइल से भी इसको कर सकूं। तो प्रेजेंट वाले ऑप्शन में एक्चुअली
अगर अगर डेस्कटॉप पे है मैम, तो डेस्कटॉप पे किसी फोल्डर में उसको कर लीजिए।
जी जी जी, फोल्डर में ऑलरेडी है। हाँ।
फोल्डर में है तो फोल्डर
रुकिए
पे।
रुकिए, एक सेकेंड एक सेकेंड, आई कैन सी इट। मैं शेयर कर रही हूँ, आप मुझे, अरे ये तो फिर से गायब हो गया। एक सेकेंड।
ठीक
हम्म,
भेज दो इसको।
ये बी आपका रिकॉर्डिंग में कुछ परमिशन का कुछ प्रॉब्लम है क्या? बिकॉज मैं शेयर कर रही हूँ, ये प्रेजेंट नहीं हो रहा है। यस, नाउ आई कैन शेयर इट। हम लोग तब
यस
तक
मैम।
वेट कर लेते हैं जी। कैन यू सी इट?
प्रेजेंट हो रहा है मैम,
ओके
दिख रहा है।
ओके
और आप
ओके
चाहे
ओके,
तो
ठीक है।
फुल स्क्रीन भी कर सकते हैं मैम।
हाँ हाँ ठीक है, मैं अभी कर लूंगी। एक्चुअली हम लोग वेट कर रहे थे थोड़ा सा
यस मैम,
और
यस मैम।
पार्टिसिपेंट्स के लिए। थैंक यू थैंक यू।
ओके मैम, ओके।
Kenny, are you there? Can I request you to please on your camera? Thank you. I think I should start.
हाँ
Okay, thank you, thank you. So, Kenny, if you don't mind, can we start this session with you? Because this is not a particular stereotype kind of class. It is a kind of interactive session with learners and counselors. Okay, there is one more participant. So I'm going to start this discussion. And before we start this interactive session, I would like to highlight two things. First of all, uh, we all know that all of you are not uh, very naive kind of students. You all are learners. So I'm here not only to discuss my ideas, my understandings with you, but I'll be very happy to share your reflections, to share your observations. So it's a kind of interactive session. Second thing, which is most important to know, when I am going to discuss rural social development with particularly in Indian context, I would like to, I will be seeking your help to understand those concepts in your local setting so that we can make it a thriving kind of vibrant kind of interactive session. So time to time we'll be discussing
Okay,
few
ma'am.
things. So let's start with this presentation. Oh, thank you. Third and most important thing is this is a kind of just one thing, that there is no basic rule for this interactive session, because I want you to please, all of you, please feel free to uh, stop me to interfere anywhere where you are not able to understand a single term, a single concept, or a single point of discussion. Don't wait for me to conclude. Don't wait for me to ask you to initiate. Please feel free. If you have a single doubt or a single query or a single reflection regarding anything which I am going to be I am going to discuss with all of you. So here we'll start this session. I am presenting. एक second, अरे यार, just 1 second. Welcome to all of you in today's session. My sincere apologies for this technical glitch. As we all of us are aware about this discussion, today we are going to talk about two blocks. This is block one. Its title of this block is Rural Social Development. If anybody is having a kind of problem, please tell me freely. Please feel free. Network is creating some problem. Yeah, it's again. Can someone tell me, are you able to see the first slide? Kenny, can you please tell me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you, madam.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Just give me 2 minutes. Kirti Vikram, sir, can you please ask someone to let me join from my cell phone because it is denying again and again.
Ma'am, technical persons are there. Kindly try. They will let you
Okay,
in.
okay. Okay, okay, okay. Till then, I am trying to present from my laptop because there is some sort of connectivity issue. That is why I was asking for this double permission, one from cell phone and another from laptop.
Okay, ma'am.
Anyway, till then I will start. Yeah, yeah. Till then I will
Don't.
start.
I'll
Yeah,
I'll I'll confirm that it is done.
yeah. Thank you. So today's topic, we are going to discuss two blocks, but with both of these blocks are interrelated. So block one, in which we are going to talk about rural social development, particularly in Indian context. But as I said in the beginning, uh, I am going to share the basic concepts and terms and strategies, development strategies with all of my learners, and I would seek uh, their own experiences, their own reflections from their contextual settings. If we talk about first block, it is focused on development of rural women. As you can see on this screen, there are 5 units in this block, but all these first 3 are inextricably interwoven, because you cannot uh, study separately status and cannot understand a single vulnerability related to education or health of rural women, neither in Indian context nor in African countries. So first thing which we are trying to understand, what is the need of development of rural women. In the second block, we will be going to discuss the same problem, the same issues, with a particular focus on rural children. So there are 2 blocks in which we are going to cover social development by focusing first target group, that is rural women, and the second target group is rural children. So right now, first part of my lecture will be focusing on this. So here you can see in 3 units, rural women, status and development, its strategies. But if you look at the 2 basic resources for enhancing quality of life of any person in general and rural women in particular, you have to focus on 2 natural resources, 2 development resources on which you are supposed to put all your efforts. First is health and nutrition of rural women, and second is education and training of rural women. Because these are 2 basic resources, because apart from this education and health, we cannot talk about the whole idea of empowerment of rural women. When we talk about empowerment of rural women, again there are 2 units. If you look at this, first is trying to highlight that to observe, in order to observe this development problem in case of rural women in general in Indian context and in particular in African countries, there is a need to understand this in a gender sensitive approach. What we call gender framework, it is basically gender sensitive approach. I am going to clear all your doubts regarding that after 2 minutes. And the second part of the empowerment strategy is to focusing on policies and programs so that we can understand how far we have reached and what is yet to be achieved and accomplished in our journey to empower rural women in Indian context in general and in African countries in particular. So let's start talking about status of rural women and development strategies. First of all, what is the need of this development, this gender sensitive approach to rural women? So the first thing which I want to discuss is what is the idea of inequality? Inequality is basically a more profound expression of dearth relative to others. When we call dearth relative to others, means living in vulnerability and deprivation with restricted means of upward mobility. Upward mobility again goes for so many things, but for instance, we can talk about this is a kind of life cycle thing. First thing, this is a right to survive. Right to survive. I have written socio demographic indicator, and there you can see sex ratio and child sex ratio. When you talk about child sex ratio, Indian, it is a kind of definition where we try to understand how many girls are there uh, in every 1,000 male child. So this is a kind of age group, a particular specific age group sexual count, where sexes have been divided into 2, that is male sex ratio for child and female sex ratio for child. So child sex ratio is basically goes for a particular target group age wise, that is 0 to 6, but above 6, that is that goes with this sex ratio. So if you go to this, the comparison between sex ratio and child sex ratio, figures are very surprising in Indian context. Although India has achieved so many things in the name of modernization, in the name of development goals, we have came far away, but still, I would like to point out a basic difference between Indian census 2001 data and Indian census 2011 data. If you would look at 2011 census data, sex ratio in India national level has been increased. But very surprisingly, child sex ratio is showing a kind of decrease. This is very surprising. It means despite of all those economic and occupational growth, uh, still there is a problem. That means there is a kind of phenomenon that we call just one second, that we call child sex ratio. So the problem is some sort of problem, because sex ratio is increasing in India from 2001 census to 2011 census, but it is decreasing if we look at it. That means there is a clear cut incidence of uh, what you call female feticide. So this is the time where you have to understand what kind of this inequality is. That is why I would like to point out that concept of inequality is a very complicated thing, where you are supposed to understand the whole concept centers around dearth relative to others. That means vulnerability has to be understood, deprivation has to be understood comparatively. Now, let's talk about socio-cultural stereotypes. If you are talking about stereotypes, then there is another problem, which is development strategy, because most of us believe in a particular idea that there is always a kind of difference between male and female. I mean, people focus on physiological differences. Of course, physiological differences are well accepted, but development strategy talks about just one thing, that these physiological differences cannot be mistaken for biological determination. If we are going to understand that this is going to be mistaken for biological determinism, that means there is no need of planned change. So, first stereotype that we are supposed to break when we are talking about the status of rural women and development strategies, we have to understand that apart despite of accepting these physiological differences, women are social equals. This is a term given by famous and very renowned sociologist T.K. Uman. He calls this gender problem to be known as social equals. So, first of all, women are neither lesser nor superior, but they are social equals. So, this is the first type which we are going to challenge. Third is the political status, that is representation and functionality. You know, the number of representation, the number of ladies in local bodies, in elected bodies like parliament, like district level public bodies, like state level public bodies, it is not just the number that matters. What is more important is also the quality, I mean their say, their access, their actual functionality in the decision making. uh, Once you are going to talk about key areas of concern in Indian context, a very helping thing can help you, that is NFHS. It has four consecutive reports. I have mentioned here NFHS 2 and NFHS 3. You can see with this year. Uh, still NFHS has revealed that still even in this decade, NFHS 4 is also saying that women have access to money, women have access to resources, but still they need permission, they are not free. So how will be they able to go for decision making? Now let's try to focus on few other things. This is the concept. That means here we are not talking about gender equality, but we are going to focus on gender equity, because acceptance and recognition is the key to awareness. It doesn't mean that they have access to the whole resources. Despite of access, if their role is not accepted, their recognition is limited, that means they are not going to be active in their area of responsibilities. Then the second recognition, which is the basic requirement of development strategy, is social construction of gender bias has to be deconstructed in all those stereotypes, in all those everyday practices. That means the social construction which is working in everyday life has to be applied in a phased manner. You cannot expect revolution. It's not a quick revolution that can be triggered by any slogan or any particular mission. Third point that is focusing on development strategy for gender equity is equal opportunity of activity, and it is not only in roles of their family but also in community and society. So again, our focus has to be going with uh, vulnerabilities against women and this core group for action. What can be the core group for this action? So if we are going to talk about development strategies in practical terms, in applied terms, that means uh, stereotypes has to be shed off. Physiological differences must not be guided as biological determinism, and gender has to be accepted as social equals. Now, can I request from my participants, for my learners, because there is an activity, what is your idea for this gender equity, for this gender problem? Uh, can someone initiate this discussion? Dear learners, please come forward. Kenny, can you please help me? Or Umar, I can see. Can we add something from you, because it's a kind of interactive session? What do you think about this is the a kind of bias in itself in development strategy when we talk about gender equality? It must be gender equality or it must be gender equity. Is that idea clear to you?
Yeah, I mean, the gender equality. So,
Okay, okay. Do you have any query so far?
no, I'm not going to count.
Okay, okay, thank you. Because this is the basic concept on which all development strategies as well as the concept of power empowerment works on. Okay. I cannot see any questions in my chat box. Omar, do you have any query so far? Jacob, Yahaya, can you please switch on your camera? Can I request? Because this is, this is the foundation of this concept of empowerment and the whole concept of development strategy for this empowerment process. Anyway, I guess there are no queries, so let's go to another slide. So when we are talking about education and training of rural women, there is a need for historical retrospection and appraisal for girls' education and women's education in Indian context. The whole idea of physiological differences and this biological determinism has drastically affected our our policy of planned change. That is why this journey that was started with women's welfare Women's welfare means there is an inbuilt feeling that someone else is going to help you. So the active role of agent are not supposed to be the girls or the women. The basic problem with this welfare approach was that it looks like someone from others is going to here for a temporary period and he or she must be helping you. So this whole idea of welfare approach was not working at all, and it was recognized very well. And from eighth 5-year plan in Indian context, there can be seen a paradigm shift in policy, and this was the policy of uh, active participation. Welfare, concept of welfare, please write it down, is very important for all of you. In Indian context, it is most important. In eighth 5-year plan, this welfare approach was criticized and it was replaced by participatory approach. From here, this is the seed, this is the foundation of this recent trend of empowerment approach. From there, it was considered that till these women are not considered as active agents of change, change cannot be planned at all. So this was the paradigm shift that is highlighted, that was highlighted in eighth 5-year plan of India. But still, if you look at this again latest data of India 2011, still there exists gender gap in literacy. That means if you look at male literacy, it is higher in 2011 census, and if you look at female literacy, it is down, it is low, it is lesser. That means less women are literate as compared to male. So male literacy and female literacy, there is a gap, and earlier it was more than 25% gap. Now it is reducing, and this is the achievement of India. Now talk about training of rural women. If we can see that this is the 2011 census data, which is highlighting gender gap, because male literacy is higher as compared to female literacy. That means training of rural women is again going to be affected, drastically affected. Why? Because their awareness is dependent on others. So the whole cycle, that whole cycle, which was started by planned change, by development strategies, by so many schemes and policies, are not going to help in absolute terms. The same case is going with African countries. I was reading a few reports, and if you look at data by United Nations, there are so many reports. I can share if you are interested. There are three types of inputs. When you go for socioeconomic indicators in African country, particularly sub-Saharan countries, UNDP is offering so many reports, and they are available online. Still, because we have another session tomorrow, if you have any problem regarding that, I'll be sharing. I can share all those reports, and apart from that, you can also get fact sheet India in for Indian context, Indian data. It is available on Indian government's website, official websites. So if you need it, please let me know about it. So the whole process of educating, training of rural women was considered that it was not very, it was not working very well. It was not kind of fungible for development in absolute terms. That is why uh, that is why still in 2011 census we cannot solve this literacy gap, which is basically uh, it's a kind of impediment in India's journey to achieve higher level of economic growth, Because if you talk about HDI, again there is a concept, you all of you are aware of human development index, but there is also GHDI, the gender induced human development index. It is also available as you can see, Creative Commons, I am in open access, it is available. So it is saying that literacy is hampered, that is creating a gap. Life cycle is creating a gap. I have spoken about female feticide when I was highlighting the gap between sex ratio and child sex ratio in India's 2011 census. Now let's talk about a few specific issues related to health and nutrition of rural women. If you talk about nutrition, health, and hygiene, again, a very important role is being played by community resources and mm, awareness. But here, the problem is that a kind of stigma, a kind of shyness, a kind of exclusiveness of this issue is creating a kind of problem. So the whole status which is supposed to go high for Indian women is basically not performing very well on all indices, particularly in terms of health and hygiene. If you talk about policies and programs, the most important and flagship program of Indian government is National Rural Health Mission. It has so many schemes. You can get about its studies on this NRHM and specific findings and specific results for Indian women. Now, I would like to ask you, my learners, can you uh, tell me any one specific scheme from your contextual setting that is basically focused on health and nutrition of rural women? Can we talk about it right now? Because it will be very boring to have a monologue kind of thing in an interactive session. Jacob, can
Yeah,
you please? Yeah, please. Can you please name one scheme from your contextual setting?
no, before I name my scheme, but I want to find out more about the education and the women.
Okay, okay. What did you
Yeah,
want to know? Yeah.
okay, in my country, which is Malawi, we have a program where we
Okay,
call, there are a
okay,
number of projects which they call
okay.
it girl child education, where they much focus on girl child than on male child. Isn't this creating a social problem for the next coming generation? Because it's like the most focus now is on women, girls. We are leaving behind another part of humans, which are men. Are we not creating another social problem in the future? Because, like, for
Yes,
example, like now in Malawi, it's all about girl child. They all focus on, all NGOs is on girl child. Projects are on girl child, paying fees for them, giving all necessary things to go to school. Yet we are leaving behind a male child. Is not this a social problem which are creating for the coming generations?
yes, yes, yes. Very good observation, Kenny. Thank you very much for adding a point, because unless and until we are going to discuss these development strategies which are creating a kind of another problem for us, this interactive session is basically incomplete. So I congratulate you for adding this thing and making it a remarkable observation. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you very much. Now, can
You're welcome.
anyone else can do the same? Jacob, Yahaya, can you please switch on your camera just for 1 minute so that I can be assured you are not sleeping? I hope I am not getting I am not. Is it a boring session for you? Please help me to understand, because it's
Nah,
kind of a monologue for me, na? Kenny is the only
nah, it is
exception.
not boring.
Okay, okay, thank you. I can see the chat box. Let me find out. Okay, okay. Okay. I'll be sharing those documents. In the end of the session, when we will be having discussion, I'll be sharing those links that are available online, and they'll all be useful for you guys. Okay.
Thanks, ma'am.
So I think nobody else is responsive other than you. So let's proceed. Uh, Before we proceed, Kenny, what you call, uh, I would like to add a sociological concept given by a famous sociologist, Indian sociologist, T.K. Uman. T.K. Uman says these kind of development strategies are basically development pathologies, because they are solving one problem, but they are creating two additional problems. So we have to be very attentive. We have to be very critical about these development strategies. So you can write down your observation right now, and you can submit it in the form of assignment, or you can use it in your exam, whatever is your assignment, and add this as a under the title of development pathology. If you are going to search for it, you will get the information. And tomorrow when we will be talking again, if you don't get that, let me know. Okay, I'll add that. Thank you,
Ma'am,
Kenny. Yeah,
yeah, on
please. Yeah.
health, on health schemes. I
Pardon?
think in my country, on health schemes, just about what is happening in our countries on health schemes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think in Malawi, actually now what they're doing is they have this under 5 clinics just to help women and the under 5 children to have access to health services. So now we have under 5 clinics which are mobile. They go to people, and 9 people going to the health centers. Now health centers, they're going to people. They choose a place and on different days to visit people in the villages. So this is a scheme which is happening now in Malawi, where we have a mobile clinics for under 5 and the lactating women. So
Very
they
good.
go to the villages for them to have access of health services.
Very good.
So
Thank you.
that's
Thank
only.
you very much. Yeah.
You're
I think you
welcome.
can write it. You can write it in a form of critical examination of among recent development strategies. This is just a suggestion. Okay, it's not a binding kind of thing. Thank you. Now let's move to other slides. This concept of empowerment of rural women has to be understood in two dimensions. First is the concept and indicators of women empowerment, particularly rural women's empowerment, and second dimension of this is related to what Kenny has added. This is a kind of critical appraisal of policies and programs we have accomplished so far. So, before we go to that, I would like to revise and to understand, let just once again, why physiological differences are supposed to be are not supposed to be mistaken as biological determinism. Because social differentiation is okay, but social discrimination is not okay, because it is creating two-folded problems for us. First is, it is basically making our rural women, vulnerable and deprived from quality of life. First thing. Second thing, it is not just one incident. Its impact is very big. Its impact is immense, because of this vulnerability and deprivation of rural women, India as a country cannot move forward, because when you compare HDI with gender-induced HDI, you will understand we goes down, India goes down by 20% point, just because our ladies, our rural women don't have that access, don't have that active role, neither in their families nor in their communities, and even not in their local bodies. Even if they are there, they are like dummies, they are like puppets, where they don't have uh, much say, much doings, effective functioning in neither in decision making nor the implementation of that decision those are made. So the whole idea of empowerment goes very uh, uh, basically ruined. This planned change idea is ruined. So again, I would like to add one thing from NFHS surveys, because NFHS 3 and NFHS second report, NFHS third report, both are basically consistent in this fact that uh, when it they have given us two findings. I'm just sharing those findings that are very surprising, because it is this is the latest, and it is also is still the trend is consistent, sorry, the trend is still consistent. When it comes to freedom to visit friends and relatives, only a quarter of women enjoy autonomy. This is a very serious thing. I will read it again. When it comes to freedom to visit friends and relatives, only a quarter of women enjoy autonomy. Another, almost 60% have women have access to money, but most of them don't seem to have the opportunity to spend this money as they wish, because they need permission even to go to the market. And we all of know that this area of social interaction is more restricted in case of rural women. So here I am giving you one activity to all of my dear learners. I would like to add all of you just one case study from all from each participant, or a kind of case study or a kind of good practice of women empowerment from your contextual setting. If you can do this, we'll be discussing these things on a higher level. Another slide. uh, Most important thing, when we talk about evolution of policies and programs, I have spoken about, because time is less, I have told you about two things. First is welfare approach, which has been completely replaced by empowerment approach, but still empowerment approach has its own problem, because empowerment is not getting functional. And why? Because the biggest challenge to all these economic, social, and political and empowerment is that community perception. This community perception is still exists, and unless and until we are going to do with it this community perception, we cannot achieve gender empowerment or women empowerment, neither in rural areas nor in uh, the whole country. So let's sum up. First of all, the most important thing where I would like to relate case of India, because we are also a uh, developing country, and we have so many things that we have achieved, but there is much has yet to be done. And the same case goes with African countries. No doubt they have achieved tremendous growth, but still this inequality is very stark, and it is very challenging. So first thing which is here to correlate these two cases of rural women, one from Indian context and another from African countries, countries from African continent. There is just one report from World Bank. This report, this is the latest report. This report has revealed very pointedly that only region in the world is African continent, where increase in the absolute number of missing women can be seen over the last 2 decades. So this is a very challenging thing. It's a World Bank report. Second is, if you look at the economic, because we say now women are now they are in occupations, they are economically active, occupationally active, they are working. But this report, again, World Bank's report, has revealed a very consistent trend that there is a gap in the engagement of these women and rural women and their productivity. Why? Because still most of the rural women are engaged in number one, unpaid job, number two, low paid job, number three, less productive job, and number four, less profitable sectors. Let me tell you, dairy and agricultural and farming, selling fruits are one of those. So this is a time to understand that just economic or social empowerment is not helping us. There are gaps. So there are gaps not only in education, but also in this employment sector, economic activity sector. Now this is a kind of group activity which I have planned before going to that group activity. I am just throwing one challenging development strategy to you, which World Bank is posing. This is the best right now so far. They are saying that breaking intergenerational cycle of gender inequality can boost this empowerment, because the biggest challenge that we have identified in earlier slide, it is community perception. This community perception can be challenged, can be deconstructed by breaking intergenerational cycle of gender inequality. So this is the topic of query, this is the topic of discussion right now, and I am going to keep mum myself, because now it is a group activity for my learners. You people have to tell me it is good or it is bad, it is profitable or not. uh, Please find out, please try to ponder on the topic. What do you say about this recent strategy which is being promoted by World Bank in African countries, that breaking intergenerational cycle of gender inequality can boost up gender equity and empowerment process, not only in developing countries in general, but also in African countries in particular? Now it's your part. Please come forward for this group activity. And please, I request now to all of my learners, please switch on your cameras just for 2 minutes. Jacob, William, Yahaya, I can see so many, but I can't find out any. Still, there is only Kenny. Why? Nobody else is opening that camera. Why? Okay, Kenny, can you please help me? Hi. Thanks for joining us online with the camera. Thank you. Yeah, Yahaya is also there. Kindly help me to correct my pronunciation if I am calling you in a wrong way. I'm sorry for that.
Don't worry much.
So,
Thank you.
okay. So, what do you think? This task of breaking intergenerational cycle of gender inequality, is it profitable or not for challenging our community perception regarding gender inequality? If you are facing any technical glitch or a network problem, you can type your reflection in chat box. Am I clear enough, or I am creating more confusion?
You are clear, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Kenny, do you have anything to say, to share, to reflect?
Yeah, actually, from the World Bank point of view, the breaking gender equality intergeneration issue, I think if it can happen, it can really boost the development. But I'm not sure if it can happen because I feel like gender equality in Africa it's more or less like a social cancer. You cannot just treat it that easily. It needs so much to be done for it to go away. So yeah, but if it can make magic, like really breaking these chains of intergenerations of gender equality, I think can really boost development in Africa. Because I'm looking at an area where everybody is actively participating in development. We're having women who are active in economic activities, decision making. So yeah, you can really boost development in such a way. I'm not sure if you can really break the inequality. Yeah, that's my input.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much for your input. Now, can we engage with the reflections of William? Can you please help us to understand what are key issues more important in for you in regarding development of rural women, to which they are uh, uh, those problems they are facing in everyday life, and those are unrecognized. People just ignore, particularly people from World Bank, particular people from other countries like India. We don't understand how they struggle for everyday life. What are those key issues related to rural women, where they are suffering, struggling in everyday life?
Yeah, you mean related in general to rural development or just to gender?
No, just gender, because today's topic is rural women.
Okay.
Yeah. And if
Gender,
you
like my
have, okay. And if you need a hint, let me tell you, like household chorus. It's a kind of completely unrecognized thing in India, most of the cases, not only in rural India, but also in urban India. Another is domestic violence. So I just want to seeking help from you to understand your views on these everyday issues that go unrecognized, that go like unrecognized and completely ignored. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think, as my colleague indicated, Kelvin, it's more of a social challenge. Of course, there are a lot of studies that have been conducted on the inequality, gender inequality. But when you go down to the ground, on the ground, especially in rural areas, we have some cultural norms that cannot really be addressed, or rather that go against the equality, gender equality that is being promoted. Among them are household chores that you just mentioned. In the Western world, it's normal to have a husband who in our culture is the head of household, doing the cooking for the house or sweeping. So given that it's not acceptable even by the community, it cannot actually be acceptable even in the household. It actually brings more confusion in certain communities when you talk of equality, in that you are now asking the husband, who traditionally and also religiously is supposed to be supersede or to look after the house, to also give the wife an opportunity to be the head in certain instances. So those are among things. That's one of the things that actually hinders the equality agenda. Then additionally to that, we also expect most of, most, like in Zambia, we are a Christian nation, the majority of us. Religiously, a wife is expected to submit to the husband. But when you talk of gender equality, it speaks opposite. And when you talk of religious things, these are things that no one is supposed to actually go against. So these are some of the challenges that actually are being faced by the push for equality when it comes to gender. I think I'll summarize that with that one.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. You're wonderful. You have expressed those tacit traits of everyday gender violence. Thank you very much, William. Now is the time to read from my chat box because there are two inputs. First is written by Kenny. Kenny has written, I'm not sure if we have this course content on LMS. I would like to share with all of you the basic problem. Before I started working on this PowerPoint presentation, I was willing to read the whole material available on LMS regarding these two blocks on rural social development of rural women, and another is for rural children. So I was reading, and I was basically surprised because there are very important inputs that I could not find in those documents. That is why LMS is available. Those read handouts are available there. But I am trying to give you few update things where you can add those things. And if you people have any problem regarding conceptual clarification or study material, I'll be grateful to help you there. Okay. But and because tomorrow we will have another session, you can all of you can connect with me on the same issue. So this is the whole thing where you can see few things new in my slides, but those are not available in LMS because what is available in written, I don't think it was complete, and it was basically mm, uh, up to my expectation, you can say, because apart from academician, I'm also a development consultant. So when you think about just one particular category and you try to just express just about one dimension, the whole purpose of development goes in vain. Why? Because it is not unidimensional, it is multidimensional. Like right now William and this Kenny, these two guys have added so much of reflection in this presentation, right? Another is by Nima Sata. uh, Ma'am, reflecting in my country scenario, rural women are deprived of access to education from a tender age, very good, and forced into early marriages, very good, in hostile conditions which retard their development. I am very happy with this observation because age at marriage is the most ignored areas of uh, systematic gender violence. I'm very happy with this observation. He's writing much more. I'm currently in the rural community having a meeting with the farmers on our project activities, but the women participation is biased due to the challenges faced and the burden of taking care of households and children. Agree, completely agree. Like there is no MRDE 101 in okay, Kenny, I am just writing it, and I'll communicate your this thing with the team RC. I don't know why it is there. MRDE 101 not in your LMS because I can see that. Okay, I'll be communicating it, don't worry. So this strategy, breaking intergenerational cycle of gender inequality, is going to be the interlinkage of our two blocks. One is focus, one was focus, this the part which is now we are concluding with these observations, with these wonderful inputs by Kenny, by William, and by Nima Sata. Can you please help me to pronounce this name correctly? I think I am not very good pronouncing it properly.
One?
Sorry, what is it?
Which name? The one with the K? Which one? Or just
it is written in chat box. Nima Sata, Nyimasata. How to pronounce it correctly?
Hello.
yeah, it's
Yeah, correctly,
Nimasata.
exactly like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
Nimasata.
thank you. Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much. Yeah, you did really great in pronouncing my name anyway.
Thank you.
All right.
I don't like to to call people like they don't want to listen like that, huh? It's okay. Thank you.
It's okay.
Because
All right.
love name is the something which is very personal and which is
Yeah.
topmost priority because it gives you recognition, huh? Okay, thank you. So we are going to our next part. So the interlinkage between these two blocks, rural women and rural children. This is the linkage which is most important, that breaking intergenerational cycle of gender inequality. Now we are going to discuss development of rural children in Indian context. So if we look at the World Bank, its latest strategy, recent trend is to focus on for rural women. Their strategy is to focus on adolescent girls because that is the core target group for enhancing, for promoting this empowerment process for rural women. And we can talk about youth. So this recent strategy of breaking intergenerational cycle of gender inequality by youth cannot be made possible without inclusion of rural children, because these are future generations. This future generation can be an active agent of change for our planet. So let's talk about situation of rural children. I was uh, talking about the comparison between two important indicators. One was sex ratio, another is child sex ratio. So that child sex ratio in Indian context again is most important thing from where we can start, because children's life cycle it goes with its birth. So if we are going to snatch that right, that first, that foremost, that most important first life cycle right to life, right to live, how can we talk about the development of rural children? That is completely a very complicated kind of thing, because first thing is to ensure life, and life cannot be possible without proper health, proper food, proper nutrition, and most important thing for the children, most important resource for the children, which is most ignored, is social security. Without security, children development cannot be made reality. So here I am trying to engage you from your countries, because I was reading through, I was reading few reports on available on World Bank and where and also a few news agencies. So here a report that I got in the Guardian. It is a very recent report, 2019 report by African Child Policy Forum. Few things that are very shocking. I am going to discuss with you. You can see through this slide. They have revealed that 1 in 3 African children are stunted, and hunger accounts for almost half of all child deaths across the continent. So basically, life cycle is completely broken. It is completely hampered because there is no food. Second thing, women and girls, along with children from poor and particularly from rural backgrounds, suffer the most from hunger. So we can relate very well that rural background have scarcity of food, the first thing that they need for their future generations. So health and nutrition is the first right, which is completely missing. Completely missing in the sense, development, empowerment, it is only half achieved if there are a particular section that is not the part of this mainstream development process. Why? Because that is creating another kind of development pathology. That is creating another kind of problem for for society, because that is not solving our problem of development. That is creating more inequalities, more vulnerabilities, because now we have urban kids and we have rural kids, and it is very clear that comparatively rural kids don't have that access to food, to nutrition, to security that is available in urban sector. So this is very important thing to understand, that a development strategy should be inclusive, and that is why in Indian context, if we go by 12th 5-year plan, that the basic strategy to empower children, to empower women, the whole focus is on set on inclusive policy, inclusion, social inclusion. But the trouble is that when we are creating two types of categories, one is rural children and another is urban children, and there are so many differences, so many vulnerabilities, so many deprivations. Are we going ahead? This is a very serious question. So let's talk about a few indicators, particular indicators. Understanding vulnerabilities of childhood through three things again. One is demographic status, I was talking about earlier. Second is educational status, and third is health. A few things that are missing from the content, because I need to focus. I need you, all of you are. I need all of you to focus on those missing things, because when we say 40% of the global number of students, global number of 1% of global number of children were out of school belong to African countries. We have to find out where are they. Where are they? Those 41% of children are suffering from so many problems like child labor, like bonded labor, like crime against children, like juvenile delinquency, like children, those are just stuck in war-ridden countries, in conflict-ridden countries, or in settings, in social settings that have so many security issues like border area communities. The cases, they focus on enrollment numbers, dropouts, and learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are very surprising. Here, I would like to add one thing. UNICEF, they release annual reports on children. They Here you can find out all those data. I think most of you all are because you all are working professionals. All of you are aware of that. So in those things, we can get these three things like they have Can you see my slide, or I have to share again?
Share again.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Can someone please tell me where I was? Because we are talking about very important things. Okay, I'm going to start again. So I was talking about a few things that are apparently uh, simple, but those are very complicated in nature. This is a very this is a kind of my favorite exercise with my students. I teach sociology in a remotely situated college where most of the boys are missing from my class. Either it is undergraduate or it is postgraduate. So I throw a question very casually to my students and ask them. You can see there are a large number of male description. How do you want to explain it? So most of the girls say that yes, girls are gaining, girls are reading, and you can say it's a good thing. Then I ask them why. Why are those boys missing? And then they conduct their empirical studies on that, and they find out that either those boys are not there because they have to go to urban areas for job opportunities. So their higher education is not available to them. And second thing, if there is a guy whose family can support his study, so that guy moves to urban areas, and they don't prefer to study a village, in a village, in a college that is located in village. So are we gaining or we missing something? So that is a kind of thing, because when we try to understand vulnerabilities of childhood just by focusing on education, in terms of enrollment number, in terms of dropouts, in terms of poor learning outcomes, that is not complete picture. I think uh, uh, a kind of thing has to be missing students for us. If they engaged in opportunities in kind of bonded labor, confident areas, their security is completely denied. So the whole idea of development of rural children is incomplete if we only focus on these set criteria of development. So this is the whole problem which I want to understand, and to help me, what can we add here. Now let's talk about few things that are very much more in promotion in recent development strategies, either by World Bank or by UNICEF. And because our countries are getting aid from foreign the organizations, so we have to follow few agendas. So in this agenda there are three things they are focus on: foundational learning age, so that enhanced of can be enhanced. Second, they try to prioritize digital connectivity for learning, and I don't know why there is a problem again and again. Every time I lost my internet connection, they say you are not allowed to share your screen. So let's wait for that. Is it running small? Can
I
you
can
hear me?
hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Again, I cannot share my screen. I have to give them this feedback. Every time I am denied to share my screen, every time I have to ask for new permission. I don't know why it is happening. Anyway, I can mail you this PowerPoint presentation. There are two slides that are left. So the whole idea of this course, PG diploma, the whole idea of higher education is not about how much have we achieved in our uh, how much have we achieved in our development process. We have to understand what is missing. That is more important, to understand what is yet to be accomplished. What is the gap? So here we are in the concluding part of this session, where they say about the whole donor agencies of World Bank, United Nations, and all those other agencies that are working on global level. Right now, their focus on three things, that is foundational learning, so that learning levels can be enhanced from early age. Second is prioritizing this digital connectivity for learning. But I was asking about right now, when we have experienced 2020, we are suffering from inequalities all over the world. And second is Russia-Ukraine war. So, in a little, what is the gap? And there are early childhood care and just give me 2 minutes. Yeah, I can share now. So the whole purpose of this exercise is to find out where are we feeling that still gaps are existing. There is much more yet to be done. Because if we talk about education of rural children, that is the most priority, that is the highly prioritized area. They talk about early education and early childhood care and non-formal education. But again, the question of access and equity is very problematic. This is a kind of, it is posing a kind of problematic for us, because if you talk about technology, if you talk about infrastructure, again, inequalities are there. Rich and poor, developing and developed countries, urban areas and rural areas. So, are we creating another problem, or we solving, or we try to solve this development problem? So, the biggest threat is gap in technology and infrastructure, which I think is a very challenging area for planning any development strategy and to go with it. Now it's time to focus on two things where caregivers and stakeholders are accountable and transparent in their practices. In most of the cases, when we talk about mm, their practices, bad outcomes are completely shunned off, completely kept under the carpet, and good practices are being promoted. I'm not saying that it's a kind of bad practice. Of course, when we are trying to promote a development strategy, we have to be very positive about it, but still, we have to be accountable and we have to be transparent, because either we are caregivers or we are stakeholders. uh, in development strategy, planning any development strategy for rural children, this accountability and transparency issue comes again and again to my mind whenever I try to understand, whenever I try to review or to examine any particular uh, development strategy for rural children. Now, there is the last segment, that is ICDS program in LMS uh, study material I was going through. Uh, I think that is a complete section. You can get all that information. It's a kind of integrated child development service scheme where learning, food and nutrition, health, all these are included in a holistic process. And that delivery dimension and that critical appraisal, everything is available. So I'm just leaving here, and right now I'm just trying to uh, invite my uh, invite my learners to join this activity. What are key problem areas and key issues of empowering the children? I am talking about Indian context, and you can talk about your own according to your own contextual setting, because it would give us a window to engage and to discuss and to learn from each others. Because I was very happy to share with my students in Uttar Pradesh the practice of Ubuntu. Because I exist because all of you are there. So this is an incomplete session unless and until all of you are going to be part of this session. So here I would like to engage all of you again actively. So please keep on your cameras and your mics, so that we can chalk out those problem areas and key issues of empowering children in African countries, or in general other nations as well. I mean, global, on global level, we can talk about it. Can we do it one by one, please? And if there is any query or any other thing that you want to discuss, or you want to add, please write it down in the chat box. Please switch on your cameras. Thank you. So, Kenny, when we try to understand these development strategies, either in African countries or in Asian countries, what do you want to add? What are key problem areas or key issues of empowering these rural children? Any on
I
par?
think
Yeah, please.
I think when it comes to African context, I'm looking at a distance at which schools are located, a radius, at which radius are schools located. Because in most rural areas, schools are not that close to each other. So I'm looking at somebody who started Sunday one, this pre-primary, Sunday one, at 6 years of age. Can he travel 5 kilometers? So I'm looking at those issues like how many schools are dispersed in our rural communities. So we look at most African countries, schools, primary schools are not that close to each other. So we're having a problem where these children under 10 years of age can't travel that long distance to attend schools. At the end of the day, we have a lot of dropouts, or even the enrollment itself, it is lower because I can't see somewhere where a child has traveled 5 kilometers at the age of 6. I don't think you can have men of doing such things. And also I'm looking at the structures in rural areas. Like in my context, Malawi, we have some areas where people are learning under trees. So, like during rainy season, I don't see most kids attending classes because I can't go class to sit under the tree to rain when it is raining. So that's other issues where I think we need to look into if we want to really get these children going, like to attend schools and to build a generation in which you have a lot of literacy level which will be higher. So that's my input on the issue I can mostly see in my country.
Is there anyone to add something? I got something in chat box. I answered that. That is completely okay with me. If you have traveling, if you are traveling and you have you are suffering from these technical issues and network issues, that is okay. So Kenny, you have added another important input when we talk about particular setting. I would like to share my own experience with you. In Uttar Pradesh, in UP, Uttar Pradesh, there is a district. Its name is. एक second, Kenny. Kenny, I can't understand your question. Who is children in this context? I mean, children means rural children, either in Indian context or in your contextual setting. Are you trying to say?
I'm looking at where we have different definition of the child, a children. Because for some it's an under 5 kid. Some it's So I was trying to be clear. Who am I focusing on? Is it under 5, under 16, under 18, or under 21?
Yeah. Thank you very much. You are such a gem. Let me appreciate you again and again, because all alone you are adding so many things that I was secretly willing to be added by my learners. Yes, age issue.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kenny. Even I am grateful to you because this is the most important thing. I was very much surprised because nobody was bothered about how to define age. And this is the most problematic area. When you talk about empowering the children, who's the children? Who's that? It is 18, below 18, or it is adolescent, or it is under 5, because their needs vary, and that is why their vulnerabilities vary. So the whole idea of this development strategy and of today's discussion is, for me, just focused on one thing. Try to map out, try to understand vulnerabilities, either in case of rural women, another is in case of rural children. Who is more vulnerable? Because you cannot expect all of them to be vulnerable. Like I say, every woman is vulnerable. That doesn't go with development strategy. I cannot say all children are vulnerable equally. Of course not. That means age wise their needs vary, and of course their vulnerabilities vary. Because if you go for 0 to 6 age group, that we focus in terms of child sex ratio, they are completely dependent on their parents. They are dependent particularly on their mothers. But if you look at the adolescent, they can be channelized as active agents for empowering not only children but also the whole community. So, my request, my input in the end, that concluding remark is, try to understand the vulnerability issue. Because if you are able to understand vulnerability issue, you will be always able to solve something which is so far. Currently in my country, rural children from extremely poor homes are given away to religious leaders. Very surprising but a very alarming trend nowadays. Thank you, Nimasata. So, rural children from extremely poor homes are given away to religious leaders to study our Islamic holy books, where they are subjected to violence by the scholar and are sent to work on the farms and beg for money on the street. It is highly disturbing. This is a compulsory activity for the children in those areas. An absence of bringing money for the scholar, they are subjected to severe punishments by beating with a significant number has died in the process of battering or forced to run away. The worst thing is that government has done little to stop the menace, and those responsible in those communities are still doing the activity. Thank you very much for this input. That is the thing I am trying to understand again and again. I am going to paste this feedback so that I can add my tomorrow's input more productivity with more productivity. Now I'm going to copy some links in chat box. This is the link for National Family Health Survey, which will be very useful for you guys. This is a link you can copy from the chat box. National Family Health Survey is considered as a very authentic and complete research tool for secondary data in Indian context. Then from there you can get fact sheet of India, that is called 3-in-1. Still, if you don't get that, I'll be sending it to you. I'll be sending it to LMS so that they can upload it. If you don't get it, please, when we are meeting tomorrow, you people can tell me immediately. So please write it down. And another reference, important reference that I want to share is reference of World Bank report that is called Improving Gender Equality in Africa. Again, from chat box, you can copy that. I'm going to give you its direct link to another thing which is available there and can be useful to all of you is there is a portal, gender portal data. That is also very important. The gender data portal, since 2012, they have been providing global data, country-wise, region-wise on that. So these are few references that you can go through, because I could not find out those things in LMS that was made available to me last evening. So these are few things that I can add. And still, if you have any query, please share with me freely. And also, I would love to hear from all of you feedback about this lecture, because only with your feedback we will be more productive tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to discuss another two issues. So please be honest, and please feel free to even to give my negative feedback. Please help me to understand where I am lacking, where I could not make things clear. Please, Kenny, can you please help me to find out my shortcomings so that we can work on that for tomorrow's lecture?
I can't see any, but only thing I think was a technical problem where I couldn't get you because of the glitches. I
Okay.
could hear the breaking of
Okay,
your voice.
okay.
So I think that's only the problem I encountered today.
I'll be definitely going to do something productive about it. You won't be suffering like that tomorrow. Okay. Anything else?
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
From my side, no. From my side, no.
Okay. 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 Do you people have access to this PowerPoint presentation through LMS? No. Okay. Do you need it? Do you need it? Do you need this a PowerPoint presentation so I can create? Okay. 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 I'll be doing something, so we should not be depending on, we could so that we can't depend on this LMS system early. For the first thing, I would request them to made available or to give me some sort of linkage, direct linkage, so that I can mail all these things to you people directly. And if I am not getting that, I'll be creating I will be putting this PowerPoint presentation in Creative Commons in public portal, so that from tomorrow you'll be access to that. Okay, you'll get an access to that. Do you need it? If you need it, I can provide it. Please let me know.
Yes, we need it.
Okay. Yeah, okay, okay. Thank you. So let me talk to them if they can these tools we do. And if they are not able to do that because LMS has its own process of evolution, have its own has its own process of development because it's again a tool. It has also limitations. So I'll be creating some sort of Creative Commons portal so that I can share with all of you. Thank you very much. So here we are concluding today's session, and again tomorrow you will have day 17 session with me, Pragya. My name is Pragya, and I am talking to you all from Allahabad. This is Prayagraj, city of Sangam from Uttar Pradesh, and this is capital of Uttar Pradesh. This is a state, North Indian state, you can say, and um, tomorrow we will have another session, and please go through that topic, and if you have any queries, please write it down. We will be discussing again tomorrow. Apart from those new things, we can have discussion where you want me to uh, add something or to clarify or to explain something, and in the last, of course, I am paying my sincere apologies to all of you for these technical glitches. I'll be doing definitely something so that we can't we don't have to face these problems in future. Thank you very much. So we are ending today's session. Thank you very much. For the last time, can I request all of you again just to switch on your camera just for 1 minute so that I can capture a picture. I'm going to click a picture on my screen. Okay, okay, okay. It's okay. That is okay. If you are not willing, okay. Bye bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
You can leave now. Kenny, do you want to say something?
Yes, yes, I want to ask something.
From RC team, is there someone ready? Is there someone?
I'm looking at these children from a bit of children.
Okay.
How these children are vulnerable. All along, I've been looking at education, child labor.
Yeah.
But I think that the times have changed. Now we have to look at how are these children exposed to drugs, because now it's become a social norm in most societies. It's not only in America or in the UK where these kids are exposed to drugs.
Yeah.
What are we doing as a developing countries to eradicate or to shield our kids, our children from this new phenomenon of drugs and substance abuse, because it's becoming rampant in developing countries. We are seeing a lot of addicts. A lot of people are selling drugs to these underage kids. What are we doing as rural developers to help shield these rural or even urban children from such kind of exposure?
Yeah.
So I want to understand from the context of India, what are they doing to really shield these kids from drug and substance abuse?
Thank you. Thank you. Definitely. Yeah. We'll be starting tomorrow's session with these issues, because when you going to talk about or to write something about development of rural children, most of the time we ignored two things. First is children in crime, that means juvenile delinquency, and second is uh, crime against children, because now security is very much hampered, and we cannot say that we can assure that our children are safe, not even when they are playing in a park, not even when they are going to school, because a phenomenon on which I will be ending this session, because it's already 5 here as per Indian time. Uh, without community, children cannot be assured this kind of security. In sociology, we call it loss of community. Loss of community means we are concerned with only our children. My daughter is safe, my son is safe. 50 years back in India, it was not an issue. If someone uh, who is standing out of his or her home, and that fellow points out a guy, a toddler, sorry, not a toddler, a child who is in school uniform, but that he is basically he is playing truancy, and he was not going to attend his school, and he must be playing with something with somewhere out of school. That person was very concerned. That person was immediately that person was going there and making queries about that children, about that child, who is he, why is he doing it, and all of this. But nowadays, even in India, either in rural or in urban India, this is not a common case. People are not bothered. If child is not belong to, if child doesn't belong to their own family, nobody is bothered what a child is going through. Why is he sulking? Why is he playing in uniform? Why is he not attending his schools? Nobody is bothered. Drugs is a different kind of thing, but it is not just uh, immediate outcome. I am trying to tell you, this is a kind of a very you can say it's a kind of consequential emergence of a very long situational and a very long social process where loss of community is happening. Uh, we are getting so much centered that we don't treat children in general as children. So definitely tomorrow's session will be beginning with these issues, and let's say bye bye till then. Stay hale and hearty. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Is there someone from RC team, Lucknow? Can we talk? Okay, let's wind up this meeting. I think I have to call them. Okay, I'm winding up this session. Thanks a lot again.